Give me proof that blacks are affecting, whites are affecting black people in a negative way. What are they doing to affect blacks in a negative way?
Well, if I've got to give a black man uh, so-called proof about the effects of systemic racism in the United States of America, its current and its historical effects on African
Where's the
Americans,
proof of it?
then that is problematic.
Where's the proof, Bishop?
The proof is evidenced
Not to
in
me.
negative status indicators on the African American community throughout our entire history. The
Give
proof
me.
is the disparate treatment of African Americans by law enforcement. The proof is in the fact that in employment, that all things being equal, the wages of a black person are going to be lower than the wages of a white person who has the exact same experience and qualification. The proof is in the fact that African Americans who are qualified to enter certain schools are accepted at much lower rates than their white counterparts. And I
Okay,
can go
so
on and on
let's
and
deal with.
racial
Hey,
disparities
hey,
in
hey,
American society that affect African Americans all day and
Bishop,
all night long.
Bishop, you're going on too long.
But you
I
asked
need
me the
short.
question,
I know,
Trevor.
but you're going on, and it's ridiculous. But
You asked me the question. I'm trying to answer the question.
give me a quick example of law enforcement affecting black people in a negative way.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. When you talk about law enforcement affecting African Americans, it is absolutely proven by the statistic that racial profiling negatively affecting African American exists. It's clear. Two issues that need to be addressed: racial profiling and the police use of excessive force. Both run, first of all, afoul of the U.S. Constitution, but they are common practice
So
in law.
let me ask about the racial profiling.
Exalts to the African American community.
If black people were if 77% of black children are born out of wedlock, if black men and women were getting married and raising decent children, which would also create a decent community, would the cops have to profile black people?
If they were getting married and raising decent children, I'm not understanding your question, because I think children are innocent. And I think whether a child is born within
You're not answering the question again.
if a child is born within the confines of a marriage, or if a child is born out of the confines of a
You're
marriage,
still not answering my question.
it's not the indicator of whether or not that is a decent child.
I,
And whether or not a child comes from a home
that's not what I asked you.
or whether they come from
What's wrong
a
with you?
situation where they're not married, it does not give the police the right to racially profile them.
If
So
black,
I think your premise that children being born out of wedlock is the problem that
It is.
faces that spurs or is the catalyst for racial profiling is completely off base.
it is the catalyst, because if blacks were married and fathers and mothers were good examples for the children wouldn't be joining gangs. They wouldn't be
Listen,
having truckloads of children.
Black people
Hold on,
that
Bishop.
have been murdered by police
Hold on,
in
Bishop.
racially profiled incidents. So that premise is completely off base.
They wouldn't be. There wouldn't be gang members. They wouldn't be killing each other. They wouldn't be killing and attacking white people as they're doing today. They wouldn't be selling drugs in their community. So, if
So let me
blacks
ask you a
had
question.
raised, if
Let me
blacks
ask
had
you.
raised decent children, it
Blacks
wouldn't
do
have to
raise
be.
decent children.
They don't.
They do.
They do not.
They absolutely do.
So let me
Blacks
ask.
raise these- let me
Most
just throw the caveat in here
most
that
blacks are
white
born
folk
out of
raise
wedlock.
children-
Hey,
white folk raise children that join gangs, that sell drugs, that commit crimes.
what does that
and
have to do with black people?
that you just described, yet they are not profiled like the African American community are.
Let me ask, is it decent to have 77% of black children born out of wedlock?
No, that is not a decent indicator. That is not, in my estimation, what the goal should
Is
be
that
for any
decent, though?
particular. for any particular community.
I'm asking you,
That every single
what is
community
wrong with this, man?
would raise their children within the confines of marriage. But at the end of the day,
But the black people, not all, but most.
when black people are racially profiled, the police don't know what kind of home they came from.
Bishop,
The common denominator is the color of their skin.
Bishop.
That's the reality of it.
Bishop, hey,
Yeah.
are blacks, most blacks, not all, but are most blacks suffering due to racism or the destruction of the family and the lack of moral character?
I think that African Americans suffer because of the destruction of the family. I also think that they suffer because of systemic racism in America. It doesn't have to be, it does not have to be one or the other. It can be both and. But I also reject the notion that that the construct of an African American family is a rationalization for systemic racism in America or being racially profiled by law enforcement.
Where's your proof that racism exists? You're just saying these things and they're not true. Where's your proof that racism exists?
It's not true.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing to me that you just said that.
It's not true. There's no such thing as racism.
No proof that racism is not true. Racism absolutely
Where's your proof?
In America.
Where's
the proof
your
is
proof?
Putting in every
You've been pudding all morning. You haven't proven anything.
I'll tell you what.
Where is your proof that racism exists?
Reverend, you asked me this question a little while ago, and I rattled off.
That was just a bunch of.
Wait a minute. I rattled off the disparities in the African American community,
but those were not proven.
That are a result of systemic racism, and then you interrupted me and told me not to continue
because it was not proved
all day, rattling off how racism affects African Americans, but then you turn around and you ask the same question
because
that you
I asked you for,
a while ago.
I asked you for proof, but you gave me none. Bishop, did you vote for Barack Obama?
I did.
And did you vote for him twice?
I did.
Amazing. I want to go quickly back to racism. Does the Bible say we wrestle, our battle is a spiritual battle or a racist battle?
Well, you know, it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And racism is a spirit. It's a demonic, antithetical Christian attitude that people hold that causes them to respond to people.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that is physical when the Bible clearly? Why? Hold on, sir.
Answering your question.
I know, but you're going too long. You're wasting a lot of time, and there's some people I want to get to.
You asked me a question. You got to get the opportunity to answer
but you don't have all day to.
That you disagree with, you've got to at least let me answer the question.
I know, but you don't have all day to give me this long thing. But let me. I say there's no racism. That our battle is a spiritual battle. God said that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and wickedness.
And I said that racism is an evil and wicked spirit that has.
This word racism has been made up by race hustlers in order to keep black people in anger, in a state of anger, which is a fallen state, and to intimidate white people so you can get free stuff from them and stay in power and wealth. And this has been done by black preachers, black politicians, white liberal, godless politicians, and the media. And as a man of God, I would think that you would teach the truth to black people and not keep them angry. There's no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism. It's a spiritual battle. And we knew this in the good old days when boys were boys and men were men. Why don't you teach the truth to the people, to the blacks, if you are a man of God?
So can I answer as long as it took you to ask the question?
No.
Because you just laid out a bunch of right-wing talking points and malarkey that is indicative of the institutionalized racism that you suffer from and the self-hatred that you have towards your own people.
I don't suffer from racism, nor do I suffer from
I'm trying to answer your question,
self-hatred.
Reverend. To say that
things that are not
racism
true
has been made up by race hustlers, how can you say that a people that have suffered in America from the time they were illegally brought here through the horrible crucible of slavery, Jim Crow,
it was not illegally, it was legal.
To the current
You're not an honest man.
That affects African American people. How can you say that it was made up by black folk to get free stuff?
Because
from
it was
the most ridiculous analogy that I've ever heard in my life, and it is absolutely despicable.
So let me ask, if black men were real men instead of beta men, if they got married and if they loved what was right with all their heart, soul, and might first, and they built jobs, they created jobs in their community, they watched over their children, as they did prior to the civil rights movement, if racism exists, why is it that blacks were better off before the civil rights movement when it comes to jobs and family, respect for one another? Why were they better off then prior to the civil rights movement than they are today?
Well, that's a false premise, first of all.
No, it's not. I grew up in it.
Now, wait, brother, are you going to let me answer the question? Because you go on 10 minutes. You go on 10-minute talk.
Short answer. Give me a short answer.
No, I can't give you a short answer after a 10-minute question.
Yes, you can.
So first and foremost, I deal with good black men every single day.
No, you don't.
Black men who love their families.
No.
Black men who raise their children. Black men who love their God, their church, and their community. And for you to stereotype all black men.
Not all, but most.
For you to stereotype all black men is worse than when white folks stereotype us on a day-by-day basis. I say that they've done a job on you for you to sit here and purport that black men all fall into one category of irresponsibility.
Not all, but most.
So your whole premise is flawed to begin with.
Not all, but most.
Most?
Yes, most black men are no good.
You give me proof, because studies have said that black men are more involved in the lives of their children statistically than white men are. That black men are more involved in their religious communities than white men are. You give me the proof that they're not. Okay, because you threw out an arbitrary figure and said most. Where's your proof of that?
I have the proof. According to the Washington Examiner, black women who are born. Hold on. Black women who are born in America, 77% of black children are born to black women who are born in America out of wedlock. Black on black crime out of control in Chicago, Milwaukee, and other places. And blacks are begging and whining for affirmative action and all that kind of crap from the white man. In the good old days, when black people were decent people, you did not see that happening.
You have not proven anything.
Bishop, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.